Can you see the screen? Okay. So in last class we have discussed up to directional overcurrent relay and why directional feature is required. So let us discuss one example on directional overcurrent relay. The directional overcurrent relay setting is similar to non-directional overcurrent relay setting. There is nothing difference in between these two. Only we have to set for two different paths. Like here in this example, one closed feeder is shown where we have to find out the time delay obtained for discrimination in all directional relays for fault at either side of C. Since there is this is a closed feeder, so we shall find the time setting of all the relays for fault in the fault near C. So fault may be here or maybe here, both are same, right? For that we are setting the relay. And you know from the previous example, once we set the relay for the worst fault, then other fault it will be automatically protected. System will be automatically protected. So the relay data is given, relay characteristics data, along with from fault analysis, the fault data is given for the path ABCD. That means what will be fault current in the path ABCD as well as in the path ADCB. That means in opposite direction. And you know, when current through the relay is outward from the bus, then it will be considered as fault. Otherwise, it is a healthy condition. So similar to the non-directional overcurrent relay, since we are interested to find the relay setting for fault near relay C, then we shall set neither all the relays near relay C near bus C as the primary relay. So for primary relay, whatever is the fault current at the bus C or near to the bus C, we must calculate the PSM. You must remember, generally fault does not occur at the bus. Generally, it happens in the transmission line. But when we do fault analysis, we analyze for the bus, near some bus. That means the fault is very near to the bus. Otherwise, it may be in the midpoint of the transmission line at a particular distance from a particular bus. But generally, fault is unnatural. Happening of fault is unnatural in case of in the bus. So from the relay current, fault current calculated, fault current, plug setting available, scarcity ratio available, we can calculate plug setting multiplier. Similarly, from the plug setting multiplier, from the characteristics, we can find out what is the time setting. But here time setting is given this one. So from there, we can find out what is the time setting multiplier. So, time setting multiplier is given. From there, we can find out actual time of operation. So it will be time of operation for the relay at near C, and we are considering for path ABC. That means we are setting this relay. Path ABC means we are setting this relay, not this relay, right? So in this way, if we consider path A, this is A, right? So we are considering the path A, B, and C. So we have set this relay. Then next to this, which relay we shall set among this near the bus B? Obviously, we shall set this relay, right? Not this one, because for this one, 1 minute. This one, okay, correct. This one will be the faulted path. So for this one, what will be the fault current? Fault current is 800 ampere, but time setting or the setting we shall take for the relay at P, this one, right? So with that, we shall select the time setting. So from the relay at C, we shall set the time for relay at B for the fault at bus C. At C means I am mentioning repeatedly. At C means not at bus C, near to the bus C. So from there, from the current data, we can calculate PSM, and from time characteristics, we can calculate the TMS, and from there we can calculate the time of discrimination, because TMS is given, I think TMS is given here. So from there we are calculating actual time of operation. And the example I had discussed for the non-directional overcurrent relay, TMS was not given, the time of discrimination was given. From there we had set the TMS. You just compare these two examples. These two examples I have given in two different ways. So similarly, in this way, we can calculate for the opposite path also and for the relay at A also. So these are repetitive process method. I think you can do it, but you must do it yourself. So this is the directional overcurrent relay. Now we shall switch over to the differential relay. Differential relay, you may assume all the relays actually are overcurrent relay, but they are actually configured in different way. Like in this relay, actually this relay sends the current difference between two circuit, okay, and from there, 1 minute. So actually these are two different circuit, these two different paths. You do not consider the cities, you consider the current. So current is going towards one zone, another current is outgoing from that zone, or say this protected zone you may assume as a circuit, a part of the power system, a block. So in that way, I1, I2 at normal condition will not be same, but the direction of I1 and I2 is under normal condition are as shown in the figure. Now, if there be any fault within this protected zone, then obviously the direction of I1, I2 will change, because from both the side current will rush towards the fault point. So in that case, the direction of current will be changed. So the differential relay operates with a principle that when the current through the relay, this relay actually observe continuously the difference between two currents, and if this difference goes beyond a certain point limit, then it operates. As shown in the figure, say these two are city currents, these two are city currents are fed to the relay, and net current is I1 minus I2. So I1 minus I2 under normal condition will be 0. Why? Because city rating setting will be in that way. For a particular current of I1 and I2, small I1 and I2 will be equal for the normal condition. During abnormal condition, obviously I1 and I2, the main line current will deviate, so the city currents will also deviate. So this city current, the difference between city currents will have a positive value, and for that reason relay will operate, because in overcurrent relay, if there be a current beyond a certain range, then it will operate. So this is the principle. Since it is sensing the difference between two currents, so therefore it is called differential relay. It may be difference between two current, it may be difference between two voltages. So this class of relay operates on the basis of vector difference, between two electrical quantities, voltage or current, which normally should be equal in magnitude and phase. And generally, we use the voltage as current as quantity, not voltage. Voltage is used in special cases, but generally we use the current differential relays. So the sensitivity of the relay is very high. Sensitivity means how, when this relay will operate. Obviously, when the current will deviate from zero, it will operate. Okay, and it always compare two quantities gathered from either side of the zone. The protector zone means the zone this relay is uh, protecting. Why we are calling zone? We are calling zone because some current is entering to the zone and outgoing from the zone. We are comparing this current, and when there is an abnormality in between this current, then the relay will operate and protect total this region what for which we have made this observation. That's why protected zone. And for overcurrent protection, it was only for a line or for a circuit, but not for a zone. It cannot give you the zonal protection in that way. Relay operates for a fault within the zone. It should be and overlooks any fault outside. So if this is, say, the fault is within zone, so fault is here, then only relay operate, because in that case direction of current will change, the current through this city will change. But if the fault is here, then obviously current in this zone will be in this direction, and the out in this zone will be in this direction, so the direction of current will not change. So differential relay will overlook that fault, so it will not operate for any external fault. External fault means fault outside the zone, we protected zone. Now, what may be the protected zone then? So, protected zone obviously may be a winding. Generally, it is a winding or power transformer or a bus bar, because within a bus bar there should not be a change in current. So, if there be any change in current, that means there is a fault in the bus bar. It is quite abnormal, but it can protect that one. And a transmission line segment. If within a line segment, always the current should be single one. If that divides, that means deviates, that means there is a fault within that line segment. But application of differential relay is mostly for the winding protection, for a generator, for a transformer, or any type of winding. Now, what is the operating principle? One is opposed current method. So, when currents are in same direction, then the relay will not operate. When they are in opposite direction, then it will operate. Similarly, opposed voltage method, when voltage are in same polarity, that it will not operate. When voltage are in opposite polarity, then it will operate. But generally, opposed voltage method are not so useful. But what is the main disadvantage of differential relay? That these two cities should be identical. Their characteristics should be identical. For every current, for every load current or line current, city current must be exactly proportional. So if there be any city saturation or city winding similarity in between these two, then this I1 and I2 may be different under normal operating condition. Then what will happen? Then this relay will disconnect the healthy circuit, because it will operate at normal operating condition. So that should be protected. So this city matching is very difficult issue, because city is made by manufacturer, and for same rating of city also, the magnetization characteristics or the city characteristics cannot be exactly same for two cities, because this is a natural phenomena. So we have to overcome that one. It is required to overcome that one. So for that reason, there is percentage differential overcurrent relay or percentage differential bias relay. What is that? Here in this relay, what happened? When there was a minute difference between I1 and I2, then relay would operate. But in this case, there is a particular uh, difference between these two current that should reach to operate the relay. So that's why there is a restraining coil in the relay, restraining winding. So that will restrain the operation of the relay up to the difference that it's required to reach. So that's why it is percentage bias over percentage bias differential relay or percentage differential bias relay. This type of relay is required. Why it is required? Because there may be city difference, city is not matching totally, so in that case it is useful. And secondly, in case of transformer, if this is a transformer winding, we are providing protection, then obviously in primary side and secondary side currents are totally different. They are very much deviate from each other. So for in that case, differential percentage bias differential relay is must. So for transformer protection, we always use percentage bias differential relay. Ordinary differential relay we may use for generator protection or say any winding protection, but for transformer protection we have to use percentage bias differential relay because there is huge difference in primary and secondary current. What is the operating principle? There is a operating coil and there is a restraining coil. Operating coil is connected at the middle position of the restraining coil, right? So through the restraining coil, in the half portion I1 current will flow, another half portion I2 current will flow. In operating coil, my I1 minus I2 current will flow. So what will be the operating MMF? NO into I1 minus I2. So this is the MMF of this coil, and for restraining, NR by 2 into I1 and NR by 2 into I2. So and on the verge of operation, these two should be equal. So from there, we can get this ratio. So this relay will operate when this ratio will more. This MMF will be more. So this I1 minus I2 by I1 plus I2 by 2 is called percentage bias. So it is NR by NO into 100%. So simply by modifying NR, we can change the percentage bias. So we can change at what difference the relay will operate. So it may be 20%, it may be 5%, it may be 30%. So it may be set. So generally, since there is huge difference in current in transformer primary secondary, then we set the relay this biasing to 30%, 25%, so high. But when we use this one for generator winding protection, we use this one within 5%. Why we need generator differential percentage bias differential relay for generator winding protection? We could use normal differential relay. But if we would use the normal differential relay, then we have to sanguine that city matching is 100% perfect. But it is very difficult to achieve, and we cannot ensure that one. That's why it is better to use percentage bias differential relay, but with low bias rating. Because in that case, we have to overcome only the city unmatching criteria, not the current unmatching criteria, because same current will flow from the entry side to the outgoing side in case of generator transformer alternator winding. Have you understood why percentage bias is more for transformer differential relay than the generator differential relay? So in the it is seen that relay operates only when I1 I minus I2 exceeds certain percentage of this that I have already discussed. So this is the related characteristics obviously for a fixed percentage. Obviously, so from the slope of the curve we can find out what is the percentage, is not it? Now you see in the initial part there is some non-linearity in the characteristics. Why? Because whenever we use anything for restraining, along with that we use a spring for controlling purpose of the moving contact of the relay. So for that reason, spring force will be predominating at the initial range of current, for lower range of current, when MMF was not so strong. So for initial, this nonlinearity came because here both the controlling torque of spring as well as restraining torque are operating. But when it goes beyond a certain value, then spring torque is negligible as compared to restraining torque. Then the characteristics become linear. This is generally frequently asked in examination. Draw the operating characteristic of the differential relay and explain it. So then in that case, you have to explain this controlling torque of spring. Okay, just do not draw this one and leave. What is the limitation of differential relay and then that sensitivity of differential relay cannot be 100% because we cannot make this 100% because there is a making of city setting if the there is not that is not transformer also. So normal bias setting is differential relay is 20%, but for generator we make it 5% because even generator is more critical. Differential current may be low, is very low when earth fault occurs very close to neutral point. So if earth fault occurs very close to here, say if earth faults occur here and here are not the same thing. So here very small percentage of winding will be available for fault current. Okay, so that will show you near to the normal current. Okay, so that will be very difficult to identify by the differential relay. Differential relay cannot identify that one because it will not create any, not see any difference between the normal condition and abnormal condition because fault is very near to the earth fault, earth point, neutral point of the start point of the transformer. So what we can do, especially for transformer, for that reason, a special type of relay is used, restricted earth fault relay, so that it can identify whether the fault is within transformer or outside the transformer. Okay, so restricted earth fault relay is actually a special type of overcurrent relay. It is used when differential relay fails. It is used in transformer to identify any internal fault and maybe near to the neutral or anywhere, but it is generally used for the near to the neutral, and generally this is used for the delta Y transformer, star delta transformer, where only one side star is available. So there is very much possibility to for the differential relay to overlook the fault. So that's why a restricted earth fault relay is required, why I have discussed. So you see, this is the transformer under normal internal fault. Internal fault means fault within the transformer. So this is within the winding, but here, okay. Then what will happen? So near the so this is called internal fault. So this CT is for protection of transformers. Now, what is external fault? That means outside the external protection in transformer protection zone. Say here, right? In that way, this is the difference between internal fault and external fault. So here CT is not differentiating internal and external. Here this fault means this is near to the winding. I have shown here for the to make it understanding, but it will be actually in the winding. Okay, so near to this, and this is in the line connecting the transformer with the other system. So what will happen if transformer has an internal fault? Then obviously the current will flow. If actually it is here, I have drawn, current will flow in this direction. Here CTs are set in such a direction that it is the CT current is opposite to the phase current. So normally this black will be the current under faulted condition. So CT current winding is connected in opposite polarity. The dot marking in such a way the current is in opposite direction. So current will flow through this. This is the rest. This is a relay. Now through neutral also current will flow. What is the neutral current? Whatever current is flowing through it, this is the neutral current. Because during fault current will flow through the neutral also. So this light blue will be the neutral CT current. You see through the neutral CT, through the relay, both the Neutral city current and phase city current are additive. So they will create a higher current. So the it will show a fault. Now, if it is an external fault, so outside the fault, so in that case also neutral current will flow in this direction, but the phase current will be in opposite direction. So for phase current, this is the city current. So phase city current. So this is the phase city current. So actually this one. So this one actually by blue color, and neutral city current are in this direction. So both current are in opposition. So the relay will not operate. So restricted earth fault relay is used to identify any internal fault in the star winding of the transformer, and it is basically mainly used for the delta star transformer, and it is used to overcome the limitation of differential relay. So that's for the differential relay. Next is distance relay. What is distance relay? From the name, it is clear that it can identify the fault, measuring the distance of the fault from the relaying point. What is the relaying point? Relaying point means where relay is connected, because relay is not connected throughout the zone. It is connected at a point in the transmission line or in a power system. So there it is connected through CTPT to monitor the voltage current of the system continuously. So, distance relay actually identify the fault, identify the system condition, and it will decide whether it will disconnect or not disconnect depending on the fault from the relaying point. What is the why distance relay is required? Distance relay is required because there are some limitation of overcurrent relay. First overcurrent relay limitation is that it is sensing current. Now you know for fault fault current deviates depending on fault point. Even for a very small change, for small deviation of position of fault point, fault current may deviate a lot. So in that case, it is very difficult to set the overcurrent relay. So it is the limitation of overcurrent relay. Similarly, it will be dependent on source impedance, because for magnitude of fault current will also dependent on the source impedance. So if we set it for a particular fault current for a particular fault point, it may be not useful for the other fault point in the same line. So it will lose the selectivity. Therefore, for mainly for transmission line protection, it is very difficult to be rely on the distance relay, on the overcurrent relay, because in transmission line is very wide length. So fault point may change in a very wide range. But in case of transformer or generator, in case of equipment, say if there be any winding fault in a generator, then we may use overcurrent relay, we may use differential relay. We are using differential relay because that is more advantageous than the overcurrent relay. Otherwise, we may use, because in both the cases current will go beyond the rated value. But when in case of transmission line, the current change very widely for the throughout the length of the transmission line for the fault. So in that case, the setting of a relay is very difficult for transmission line protection if we are using overcurrent relay. That's why we use distance relay. What is the philosophy? Say this is the near to the source, say there is the relaying point. So actually in this relay, voltage and current are fed through CT. And actually these distance relays sense or calculate the impedance. So if the V by R ratio is less than a particular value, then it will operate, otherwise not. You know, under normal condition, this V by I will have some value. But under abnormal condition, when this I goes to I fault, then this Z will deviate much from the normal setting, because in that case Z will be very low. It's not it, because theoretically IF may be infinity, so Z will be near to zero. So there will be a large fluctuation of Z between fault and healthy condition. So in that way, it can differentiate the fault. So it is not differentiating any, and it is not sensing any current. It is sensing the ratio. So in that way, it is actually sensing the changing current, but in terms of impedance. So the magnitude of current, how much, what is the fault current, that is not important. It has deviated from the rated current, that is important. Whenever there is a deviation, huge deviation from rated current, then impedance will be low beyond the very low as compared to the normal value. So it is very easy to identify the fault condition at least. Now, what is the philosophy? Say it is uh, this relay is protecting a transmission line AB, right? So up to B, it will give the protection, provide the protection. Then obviously this AB is called reach of the relay. That means this relay cannot sense any fault beyond this B point. So that is the reach of the relay. And so it is entrusted that this relay should operate for every fault within AB, and it should not operate for any fault beyond AB. But if any relay operate for any fault beyond AB, that means it is crossing its reach. In that case, it is called relay has overreached. It was not expected to operate, but it has operated. So that is the overreach condition. Similarly, when it is not operating for any fault, say near to the B up to a certain distance, that means it is unable to identify the fault within its reach. That means that's why it is called under reach. So it is provided to provide protection for a 200-kilometer line, but it is giving protection for 150-kilometer line. So beyond 150 kilometer, it is giving under reach. It is in under reach condition. On the contrary, if it is it is designed to provide protection from 200-kilometer line, but it is providing protection, it is sensing the fault beyond 200 kilometers, say at 250 kilometer, that means relay is overreached. Both the underreach and overreach are not acceptable, because if it is underreach, then the relay, some fault will be overlooked, and then if it is overreached, then actually there will be unnecessary disconnection of the line concern. If there be a fault in beyond B, say as it is shown here, say at F3, then the line AB is not required to disconnect. This line disconnection of this line is sufficient. So if due to overreach this line AB is disconnected, then that is the limitation of that protection system. So both the overreach and underreach are not expected. So here, now say this is an internal fault. So this F2 is the fault at the reach point and F3 is the external fault. So Z set is in such a way that for internal fault ZL1, or for fault at reach 1, reach 2, reach point ZL2, both the cases these impedances will be much lesser than the impedance set. So relay will operate. But for external fault ZL3, this Z cell will be higher. So the relay will not operate. This is the principle. So if we write in short, for the external fault, if the current at relay location is IR3, voltage is VR3, then VR3 will be more than IR3 and Z set, right? So in that case, actually the impedance is more than the Z set. So relay will restrain, relay will not operate. If it is at reach point, then it will be equal at par. So voltage, it will be on the relay, will be at the verge of operation. And for internal fault, there will be, the relay will always trip, and because voltage will be less than the current into impedance, because current is higher, so actually voltage is far higher, far lower, for that reason. Now I shall discuss later the setting of distance relay. There, then you will see that no distance relay we set or we rely that will operate up to reach point. In that case, all distance relay are set to some under reach condition, but never over reached. Because if it is over reached, then it will unnecessarily disturb the other lines. So always it is made to some extent under reached, maybe 5%, maybe 10%, but never over reached. Just I have told you this one right now, so that you will understand easily. We shall discuss this one when we shall coordinate the distance relays. So what is the principle? That if we measure the voltage, then voltage must be less than IR into Z, then it will trip. Otherwise restrain. Restrain means it will not operate. So from there, if the relay impedance, that is V by I, is actually voltage sense and current through the relay, if the voltage, that ratio, voltage by current in the relay, is less than Z set, then trip, otherwise restrain. The relay therefore somehow has to calculate the impedance, right? Otherwise it is meaningless, and compare it with the set value to take the decision. ZR is called impedance seen by the relay. ZR actually the ratio of voltage and current sensed by CT and PT and given to the relay. Because of the simple series model of the faulted line, the line impedance directly proportional to the distance to the fault. It's not it. Impedance, total impedance of the line is impedance per unit length into the length. So it is directly related to the distance of the fault from the relaying point. That's why this relay is also called distance relay. It is sensing impedance. That's why it is called impedance relay also. What is the operating principle of distance relay? It is actually a overcurrent relay, but constraint, the restraining torque is a voltage restraining torque. For ordinary overcurrent relay, the restraining torque was given by only the spring. Okay. For differential relay, restraining torque was given by some current derived from the current of the system. And for the impedance relay, the restraining torque is provided by the voltage of the system, and operating torque is provided from the current of the system. So that's why here this is the operating coil. It is energized through CT, and the restraining coil will be energized to the PT. So if this operating torque is more, then relay will go towards the trip condition. Otherwise, it will be in the opposite direction or restrain. But to make this relay contact at a particular position, always there is a spring. Spring is providing controlling torque under normal condition, under rest condition. And when relay will tend to operate, actually it will have to overcome the controlling torque of the spring as well as restraining torque provided, if any. In this case, restraining torque is provided by the voltage, then it will operate. Similarly, for overcurrent relay, the operating torque was provided using currents I square proportional to I square, and that operation was restrained by the spring. Okay, then obviously the quality of spring, the force of spring is obviously more in case of overcurrent relay than in the differential relay or in impedance relay. But when there is any other restraining torque present as compared to spring, in addition to spring, like current, using current or voltage, then we can neglect the force applied by spring, because that is only to make the relay contact at the fixed position, no operating position, rest position under normal condition. What is the torque equation? A current operated voltage restrained relay. So operating torque will obviously will be current square. Why? Because it is nothing but the overcurrent relay. Restraining torque kV square, because it is actually again an overcurrent relay system, but it is proportional to voltage, right? There is controlling torque also. The controlling torque is provided by spring. Then net torque, obviously operating torque minus restraining torque minus controlling torque. Generally, we neglect controlling torque when it is on the verge of operation, because it is very much neglected as compared to K2V square. So, in that case, T will be K1I square minus K2V square. But if we consider exact operating condition, then obviously T equal to this one, K1I square minus K2V square minus K3. So, this is the net torque. So under balance condition, we can get that V by I ratio is root over Q1 by K2. So as per our desire, we can assume that what is the desired voltage and current for which it will not operate. That means it is the maximum load current, maybe. So from there we can set the relay. Then we can it will automatically say not sense the condition as fault when it is equal to Z set, and when it goes below the Z set, then it will sense it as a fault. And relay will obviously operate when the torque is 0, so ZR is less than Z set, obviously, this one. Thus, the relay operates when the impedance seen by the relay is below the preset value. This impedance or corresponding distance is known as reach of the relay. I have already discussed. The impedance is relay is non-directional, because there is nowhere we are sensing the direction, right? And it will operate irrespective of the direction of current. So whatever be the direction, it will operate. But we can provide directional feature also in the relay, impedance relay. Why? Because impedance relay is nothing but overcurrent relay. So instead of using ordinary overcurrent relay, if we use directional overcurrent relay, we can provide directional feature. So that option is also there. But ordinary impedance relay, general impedance relay is the current direction of current insensitive. It does not sense the direction of current. It senses only the magnitude of current. So what will be the characteristic of distance relay? Obviously, V by R ratio should be constant, and if it go below the value, then it will trip, otherwise restrained, because it may go beyond, current may be lower. So current may be, if current is lower, because load is not constant in transmission line, so in that case impedance may be higher. So in that case it will not consider at fault. But if current goes lower, beyond the maximum load current or maximum set current, then it will operate, it will sense it as a fault. So slope of this circuit, so slope of these characteristics will give you the Z set, right? And lower side of this line is the tripping zone, and upper side is the restraining zone. Now the same characteristics we may draw in RX plane. Why RX plane? Because we are setting the relay as per impedance. So it is better to compare the impedances. So that's why instead of VR, distance relay characteristics, VI, instead of VI, distance relay characteristics is plotted in the RX plane. That means in terms of impedance. So if we plot it in terms of impedance, then obviously this is X, this is R. So this is a particular impedance, say up to this. So this is the Z set, this is the reach point B. So if it is go below that, then the relay will operate. If it is beyond that, then it is restrained, relay will not operate. Since it is current not sensitive, so it will in opposite direction also it is applicable, right? So the inner side of the circle is the operating zone, outer side of the circle will be the restraining zone. Note that if the apparent impedance seen by the relay falls inside the trip region, closed region, then the relay declares as a fault and issue a trip decision, otherwise not. Now there are some limitation of the impedance relay. What is the limitation? That um, if there be any arcing fault, what is that arcing fault? We know that fault means that fault point will be directly grounded to the circuit, to the directly shorted to the ground. But it may not happen. During the in the shorting path, there may be some resistance. So in that case, the fault point will not be short circuited directly to the ground, but it will be short circuited to the ground through arcing. Because if there be any resistance or there be small difference, air gap in between the fault in between the that fault point and the earth, then there will be an arcing. So for that a resistance will be there. That is called the arcing resistance. So say at any point, say this is the impedance, right? So this should be the impedance seen by the relay. But due to this resistance will come series with the impedance seen by from the relay point. So this impedance is this one. So effective impedance is increasing. It's not it. So if effective increase in impedance is increasing, so if this is the relay reach point, this due to this arcing fault, if there it is a faulty condition, but by the relay it will be it is seen is it as a as in the restraining zone. So the relay will not operate. So during arcing fault, depending on arcing, relay may not operate. So relay may be underreached. The fault for which it should operate, it is not operating. So it is underreached, right? So this problem should be overcome. So for that, there are different type of impedance relay to overcome different type of problem faced by the impedance relay. Here different parallelogram are shown for different the arcing fault for at different distance. So actually for fault at F1 or F2, this impedance of the line will not be same. So wherever be the fault, for a same arcing resist for same arcing fault, in same amount of arcing resistance will be added. Okay, so the actually the impedances will be changed like this, in this way, right? So that is that I wanted to explain. So for to overcome the two limitation, one is the underreach issue due to the arcing fault. Next is to there is no current direction sensing of direction of current or direction sensitivity, and there are different type of relay or impedance relay are derived. Okay, the main concept is same. It is a overcurrent relay with voltage restraint, but some configuration are modified to provide some extra feature within that impedance relay. So whatever impedance relay we have discussed till now, they are ordinary impedance relay. Simple overcurrent relay with voltage restraining coil. This thing I have discussed. So all the limitation is written here. Now, to overcome the problem of directional feature, uh, offset impedance relay is derived. What is offset differential relay? You know, along with voltage bias, if we provide a particular percentage of current bias, then we can shift the characteristic of the relay. So at balanced condition, so we are instead of voltage we are providing some current also proportional to current. So actually this is zi, some zi, so that is providing in restraining coil. So overall it is voltage, but it is a function of current, it is dependent on system current also. So in that way we can control the operating characteristics of the impedance relay. So from there, actually, if we derive the same condition, so this is V by R plus C, V by I plus C equal to K1 by K2. So actually, it is R plus Jx plus C whole square equal to K1 by K2. So separating real and imaginary part, we can derive the equation of circle. So in that way, if we derive that one, so in that case it will be a circle. Now for this one, do you know, for x-axis there will be a minus c center. So it will be shifted towards like this. Here the drawing is opposite. Shift center will be shifted toward the negative point side. So it will be like this, right? Maybe. And similarly, we can shift on the right hand side also. So actually, if we shift in right hand side, we may make shifting in such a way that it will be only in the first quadrant. So there will be no question of direction in no question of operation in the negative for negative current. So in that case, we can provide the directional property in the relay. So this is the philosophy. So how we can introduce directional feature in impedance relaying? You know, for the directional overcurrent relay, actually we provide a current along with some voltage as as other energizing coil in the other circuit, secondary circuit, primary circuit. In that case, what happened? That due to interaction of these two, the operating zone is only for the positive torque, not for the negative torque. In that way, we can provide the directional feature in the directional overcurrent relay. Now, if we can enclose this feature within a first quadrant, then we can derive an impedance relay which will have the directional feature. In that case, obviously voltage and current, resistance and impedance, reactance are the axis, and the characteristics will lie only in the first quadrant. So that feature we may obtain using the directional overcurrent relay with voltage restraint. So actually the overcurrent relay, the actual impedance relay was the current overcurrent relay with the voltage restraint. This one. What was this? This is the overcurrent relay, but this relay operation was restrained by the voltage coil. But instead of this overcurrent relay, if we use a directional overcurrent relay, whatever be the feature is directional relay, whatever be the configuration of overcurrent relay, if we use that one, then we can provide directional property in the impedance relay. So what is the difference in impedance relay with directional feature and directional overcurrent relay? In directional overcurrent relay, it was a overcurrent relay. One winding was fed from current, another operating winding was fed from current, and polarizing winding was fed from voltage, but it was restrained by the spring. But in case of overcurrent directional property in impedance relay, it is a overcurrent part is same, but restraining part is provided using voltage along with the spring. Sphere spring is used only for the controlling purpose, but restraining is mainly provided by the voltage coil. So from here, if we use this one, that is overcurrent, this is the overcurrent relay obviously, but here there is a restraining part K2 V square. Now if we write the equation, then Z will be K1 by K2 cos theta minus tau. You just try it. If this is Z equal to constant into cos theta minus tau, this is an equation of admittance, Mo. That's why it is called Mo relay. This is your exercise, you do it. So this will be a circle passing through the origin. That is the mathematical part. Another is, for this circuit, the admittance will be constant. It will monitor the admittance of the system. Under operating zone, ZR will be less than this one. Otherwise, ZR is more than that. So actually, what is the characteristics? So actually, it is in the first quadrant. So only it will provide positive torque for which it will operate. Otherwise, for any other current or voltage, it will not operate. For any other for the third quadrant, it will not operate. So this is actually the characteristic is Z equal to Zn cos theta minus tau. That means this angle is 90 degree and then this angle is theta minus tau. Then Zr is Zn cos theta minus tau at every point. So this may be Zn also in this way. So from there you uh, calculate mathematically how it may represent the mho, the admittance. Now this, so using mho relay, we can overcome the limitation of the current detection of current sensitivity. Now using mho relay, we can provide the current sensitivity also. Only the operating coil is now directional overcurrent relay, not the ordinary overcurrent relay. Now there was an underreach problem due to the arc resistance. You see, this red, this pink was the ordinary ohm relay or impedance relay. So if green is the reach, so if there be any arcing shown by black, then this is the impedance seen by the relay is out of the range, out of this pink circle. So out of the operating zone. So it will show the overreach, underreach, right? Because it is not, it is unable to catch the operating point. But if we are using mho relay, then obviously this point is still within the operating zone of the mho relay. So in this way, the underreaching problem of impedance relay is maybe overcome using mho relay, not 100%. If the arc resistance is too high, then it may be mho relay may also be underreach, but the chance is lesser because arc resistance generally does not is not so high. So generally it may be controlled using mho relay, which was not sensible using the ohm relay. So actually mho relay is very much advantageous from the point of view that it can provide the directional feature. Along with that, it can provide the protection even under arcing fault. So there are some facts of mho relay. What is that? So this is the characteristics that we will derive, that how it is related to admittance. It is most widely used. Relay is stable under all load condition. The reach of the relay is reduced, and actually under reach of the problem relay is reduced for problem reduced impedance of arc resistance, but cannot be reduced 100%. Now, characteristic of directional overcurrent relay is a straight line, right? So straight line of this, a straight line may be assumed as a part of a circle of infinite radius. Actually, the straight line may be a part of a very large circle. But in case of mho relay, it is also a directional relay, but it has a definite radius. How we are getting that definite radius? Using the voltage restraint. So actually voltage restraining is providing the definite radius of the within the mho relay, which was infinite in case of overcurrent relay. Next is reactance relay. Reactance relay overcomes the effect of arc resistance. If the impedance relay is not sensing any resistance, it is only sensing the reactance, then obviously it will be reluctant to the arc resistance. So actually, it senses only the reactance of the system. If reactance is below some value, then it will trip, otherwise not. So whatever be the arc resistance, that is meaningless from this for this type of relay. So reactance relay is useful when the arcing fault is very prominent. This relay is a overcurrent relay with directional restraint. Here restraining is given using directional element, and original relay is the overcurrent relay. How it is given? You know, both directional relay, overcurrent relay, directional overcurrent relay provide torque. Here, one directional overcurrent relay torque is used for restraining, and one ordinary overcurrent relay torque is used as operating. So this K3 is obviously spring control. If we neglect K3, then you can see this will be actually impedance, reactance will be constant. So under normal condition, for a fixed value of up to a fixed value of reactance, the relay will not operate. Otherwise it will operate. That's why it is called reactance relay, right? So there are three types of relay. One is impedance relay, one is Moore relay. Moore relay is and another is reactance relay. Moore relay and reactance relay are special type of relay. Understood? So whatever I have told, it is written here. Now you see one thing important. Reactance relay, which is set to protect a line section in forward direction, also responds in reverse direction from an unlimited distance. What does it mean? You see from the characteristics, it will not operate up to this reactance. Okay. So it will not operate for any reactance in the negative side also. So it is given protection for negative direction up to infinite value. This is one thing. It is unaffected for the arc resistance. Second thing. Third is under normal condition also relay may fall under trip region. Why? Because under loading condition also this X may be lower. Because when actually current is higher, actual going overloading condition or rated loading condition, this X may be lower. So it may be it will trip actually. So for that reason, reactance relay cannot be used alone. Always it will be supervised by some other relay to prevent it from the normal load. So this reactance relay, this is the reactance relay, then it should be in series with, say, from some overcurrent relay. Then what will happen? Overcurrent relay will restrict the circuit to operate under normal load condition. Otherwise, reactance relay would operate. Then what is the function of overcurrent reactance relay? Reactance relay will provide protection while describing the circuit even under arcing fault, which was absent in the other relay. Have you understood? Have you understood? Nobody is responding. Then check this comparison of distance relay and tell me if you can, if you have any question. Otherwise, I shall proceed. Can you see the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Then tell me if you have any query. I am waiting for that. Otherwise, I shall go to the next topic.
No, ma'am, no queries.
Then how we shall set the distance relay? So for distance relay setting, at relay point, we must measure the voltage and current. Actually, we must monitor the voltage and current. So voltage and current. So this is the impedance. Fault point voltage is nearly to zero, right? But it is far away from there. So the voltage will be available, but some lesser voltage. Now PT secondary voltage we can calculate using PT ratio, or we can get CT secondary current we can get using CT ratio. So what will be the impedance seen by the relay? is V by I. So actual it is actually function of CT and PT ratio as compared to the original line impedance, right? ZL is the original line impedance V by Z. So this ZR is called replica impedance, or it is the relay impedance. Relay impedance is not the line impedance. It is proportional to the line impedance. It is because line impedance multiplied by CT by PT ratio is the relay impedance. And obviously this CT by PT ratio must be same for throughout operating condition, so that there will be a direct relationship between the line impedance and the relay impedance. So that I have discussed repeatedly. Under balance condition V equal to Iz. So V is under fault condition, V is less than Iz, and beyond fault V is greater than Iz. So in that way we can find out the relay characteristics. Now the distance relay may be overreached or underreached. Generally, uh, why there is the discrepancy in reach in case of distance relay? Because it is involved with two transformer, one CT, another PT, and their ratios are not perfect. They may not be proportionate. That transformation of voltage and current may not be proportionate. So that will be one issue. And generally line parameter data available for transmission line are not so reliable. Most of the cases they are not available. They are calculated from the line data. Okay. And line parameters change with atmospheric condition. So whenever we set it, their distance relay reach may change. Secondly, there is a DC offset current in fault. When there is in initial condition, there is a high DC current along with the steady state current. So in that case, there is a huge current. And for that reason, initially for transient, it may be assumed as fault, but it may not be. That will also be affected by the distance relay operation. Similarly, when we switch on a capacitor voltage transformer, then also there is a huge current change in the circuit. Huge current change means uh, it will be seen from the impedance relay as a huge drop in impedance, but that is not the case. So 1 minute. So for that reason, actually, we have to set the distance relay. We have to coordinate the distance relay. Generally, distance relay are expected to be under reach. For that reason, always instead of one distance relay, two or more distance relay are coordinated. What is the strategy? How this coordination will be there? If the reach of distance relay is adjusted to 100%, then overreach will cause. So that's why it is always made less than 100%. It's make 80 to 90%, and remaining 20 to 10% is left without primary protection. That will be handled by the secondary protection or backup protection. This is the scheme of distance relay distance protection. So distance relay generally provided using the three-step, three-zone protection, right? At first, what is three-step, three-zone protection? Three-zone protection is given. There is zone one. Zone one is provided the fastest protection. There will be one zone that will be provide protection at instantaneously. There will be no intentional time delay operating time will be within one cycle. It is said to cover 80% of the length. It is because the difficulty in distinguish fault which is close to the bus B. So here, actually this AB will give you the primary protection or first set of protection up to B. But you see B is kept beyond outside the zone of the first set of protection Z1. So that this may you may assume as 10 to 20%, right? So this 10 to 20% will not be provided by first set of protection. Then second set of protection is given by some delay, okay? And which line will be provided? Generally shortest, this is the shortest backup line is taken, right? Shortest backup line means this one. So this one will be set for the second set of protection. So this is the E, right? So this is the first set of protection starting from the source, the first line. So AB will be provided first set of protection, leaving 10 to 20% as backup protection. And second zone of protection will be given to the first short line. You see, it is the shortest between BC, BD and the BE. So it will be taken as second set of zone protection. And here also some percentage will be given, percentage of the line will leave for the backup protection. Here the percentage left will be more, generally 50%. Okay. And what will be the how the line will be selected? If this ZP plus 1.5 ZB is greater than 1.2, ZP and ZB are the prime positive sequence of the impedances of primary line and shortest backup line. Then zone 2 set will be at 50%, otherwise less, right? In that way. And zone 3's protection is given to the longest backup line, that means BD. So BD will be given, the longest backup line will have zone 3 protection. Why? Then BC will be automatically within that, because current in this will be automatically within this region. So this is the concept of 3-step 3-zone protection of distance relay. So if we consider it for a single transmission line, we may consider, or a radial transmission line, a transmission system, then we may consider as a this one as a 3-step 3-zone protection. Then first zone protection will be instantaneously given without any time lag. And for second zone, time log is given 0.2 to 0.5 second. For third zone, 0.4 to 0.1 second. Sorry, 1 second. You see 90% is given primary protection, 10% is left. Then for secondary protection, up to 190% is given as primary protection and up to 150% as the secondary protection. You see relay at station 1, it is the primary protection. This is the secondary protection for zone 2, right? And it will give some time delay, then it will give the protection for the next step. Have you understood? So in this way, the same thing for the other. So in short, actually relays will operate with some time delay. At first primary, there are 3 relays that will operate with some time delay. So these are the 3 zones. First zone, then some time delay, then second zone, then some time delay, then third zone. Whatever I have told, that whenever there a fault will be there, it is not that second zone relay will wait for that first zone relay to be operated and then it will start operation. It is not the thing. All the relays will start moving when the relay is initiated, but the setting in such a way that first zone, if the first zone relay is successful, then it will make the contact at first, then second zone, then third zone, keeping some time delay. So how this trip coil energization will be given? Say this positive and negative terminal. If this negative terminal is available across the trip coil, then only it will operate. Is not it? So that shifting of this connection of this negative point to the trip coil is controlled by these three relays: zone 1 protection, zone 2 protection, zone 3 protection, right? So say this in this relay, so say go to this figure. So this, if we are assuming this relay in the zone 1, 2, right? Then zone 1, 2 will provide primary protection for the section 1, 2 up to 90%, secondary protection up to this 50%, then the third zone protection up to this 200%. Then how it will be it will be controlled by control circuit. That is, if we are using simple impedance relay, then we have to provide a distance relay, a directional overcurrent relay. If we directional overcurrent relay will decide whether the distance relay will operate for this particular fault or not. Okay, this is deciding the distance, because the ordinary impedance relay does not have any directional property, right? Then if directional relay is sensing that this is obviously the direction is right, it is fault, then obviously this then impedance, the first zone protection relay will operate, because it has minimum no time lag, no time delay is given, no timer is there, so it will operate, relay will energized. Okay, if it is not operating, then obviously there is, along with the, when first zone relay fault has been initiated, then timer was in operation. So after a time, timer has completed its time, then this timer contact will be closed. Then this relay will operate and these two contact will close and trip coil will get energized. If it is fails, if it is not operating, then there is a timer in the third zone relay, and this timer will control these two contact with a different time setting. So this contact will close. If this contact will close, then obviously this circuit will be bypassed. Then this zone 3 relay will directly connect the trip coil, right? So in that way, it will be operated, right? Oh, sorry, I have made one mistake. Zone 3 relay will connect the timer. So zone 3 relay, when distance relay will be initiated, zone 3 relay will be operated. And zone 3 relay will connect the timer. So connect timer, the T2 time will come at first. So when Z1 has not operated, time has gone, then T2 time has reached, then Z2 will operate and this contact will close. If it is fail, it is open circuited, it is also open circuited, then this timer will, after a time T3, it will close this circuit, then trip coil will be energized. Have you understood? So in this way, we can set different type of trip circuit depending on different type of relay available. Now, if we have a more relay available and only one more relay and two reactance relay, then we can give same type of protection. This more relay contact, same more relay contact we can use for the directional property for the reactances relay in zone 1 and zone 2, and for the third relay to operate the timer, and these four things are same. Since reactance relay cannot operate at say alone, then we need either more relay or distance relay. Now, if it is more relay, then this two relay is sufficient. We have no need of distance relay, because in that case, more relay has its self extension its distance identification feature. So in this way, we can set the three zone protection. This phase fault protection I shall discuss next class. I think that will be better. So shall I continue or shall I stop? No, can you take? Can you brush up? It is also required to. Huh? Then I am leaving here, because this phase fault protection are different type of concept. So whatever I have discussed up to this control circuit, they are nearer to each other. So you just go through it. Then let us come to the next class for the protection scheme, the relay coil connection. Okay, that's all for today then.